Hey, welcome back to the show, folks. You're with Coach Tony on Let Them Play, and we're talking about, hair. There's a kid and his parents who sued their school for cutting the kid from the basketball team for not cutting his hair, and we just heard from our good buddy Jerry in White Plains. But, we're gonna start going to your calls right now. In fact, our good friend Steve, normally from Katona, now from Dobbs Ferry, is on the line with us. Hey, Steve, you're on Let Them Play, buddy. What's going on?
Coach Tony, how are you?
Now, why the switch? Normally from Katona, now Dobbs Ferry. What's going on?
I'm down gearing up for tax season, so that's where my tax practice is. So getting fired up, ready to go.
Well, let's give Steve a nice little plug. If you're looking for an accountant, look up Steve in Dobbs Ferry. That's probably what you're listed as in the Yellow Pages too, right?
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
All right. So what's on your mind, Steve? What do you think?
Well, listen, Tony. First of all, sorry to hear about your ribs. I've heard that's very painful, breaking ribs.
Ridiculous.
Second of all, I think you and I are going to disagree on this one, and we typically agree on a lot of things, except, is it a privilege to play on these teams? I agree that it is. Is it a right to play? No, it's not. Is it a stupid lawsuit? Probably is. However, I think it's an even more stupid policy. Why does a coach care how a kid wears his hair? Because a coach thinks short hair is the right thing, and it looks the military style and all. Is it really a safety factor? Is it really a cleanliness factor? I don't know. Why does a coach care how a kid wears his hair? Why does a coach care if a kid has an earring? Okay, maybe not during a game, but why does a coach care about these things?
Well, I think you just hit the nail on the head when you talked about an earring. You said maybe. When you start getting into maybes is where you start to run into problems. And by the way, Steve, I should clarify. The idea of the sanitary notion, that was the school's policy, not the coach's policy. I think the school sounds kind of stupid when they start talking about cleanliness and hair and all that other stuff. But think about it for a second. You start talking about two things. There are gray areas around things like jewelry. And you know what the new one is, Steve? Tattoos. And then you start talking about where do you draw the line. Now, I personally look at it this way. If I'm the coach, I'm simply saying you are representing me, you're representing the school, you're representing your family, you're representing your community, and you're just going to have a good image. And I think if the rules are just stated like that, I think you get a lot less kickback. But you got these kids who, again, they want to burn their draft card or burn their bra and make their statement and talk about, their civil rights. Well, nobody's turning the hose on the kid for not cutting his hair. The coach wants the kid to represent his school and his team in a proper light, and that's where I kind of fall in line. I'm an old school guy. I'm a baseball guy, so for me it was always short cropped hair, crew cuts, and that's just the way I like things to be. Do you really think this is a violation of the kid's constitutional rights?
I think it's just a stupid policy in regard. You know what? I'm old school, too. I love the military haircut, but I'd still take Tim Lincecum on my team any day. I don't care what his hair looks like, and I don't think it affects who he is as a person or how he pitches. And, yeah, you're in high school, you're representing the coach in the school, but because the coach likes short hair, I don't think that makes it better than hair, down past your ears.
Well, and I think I got a couple of people on the blog this week talking about comparisons to, like Troy Polamalu and Lincecum was actually used. There is a difference between a professional who's getting paid to simply perform and a junior high school kid who's not getting paid and is, again, using this as a privilege and an opportunity to represent himself, his family, his school, what have you. Let me ask you this one, though, Steve, and I'm going to let you go. If you're the parent, do you go this far with the lawsuit?
I would have to think about that. First of all, if the kid's really that good of a ball player, I don't think the coach is going to cut him just because of his hair. I really don't.
I hope he would, because as soon as you start figuring out who you put the rules in place for and who you don't, you got major problems on your hands.
And this is one you and I are going to agree to disagree. I think because I just think it's a dumb policy. I just couldn't care what the kid's hair looks like. I'd really just rather look through that and. I don't think it's going to define his personality in any way. So I'm kind of the same with a tattoo. If a kid wants to get a tattoo and his parents are okay with it, personally, I don't like it for me or my own kids. But if they're going to do it, I wouldn't cut a kid because of it.
Well, you know what, Steve? I got to tell you, I will reserve the right to respectfully agree to disagree with you because you and I tend to be on the same page on most topics. And thanks again for the call. There are other people who also agree. At least in concept with what Steve was saying. In fact, I got an email this week from Fight the Power, who writes in and says, "Hey, Coach Tony, I suppose the coach can also require the whole team to wear knee socks with a stripe on top just because he thinks knee socks are cool, right? This is a great lesson in the whims of authority, isn't it? All right, fight the power. You're a really special kind of stupid, and let me explain to you why your comment clearly illustrates how your brain doesn't function properly. The coach, Adam's laughing, but hear me out, buddy. The coach can indeed, absolutely, require the team to wear knee socks with a stripe on top. You know what they call that? They call it a uniform, idiot. Right? I mean, isn't it funny how you can pretty much guess our listeners' age by the types of comments they make? This kid, and I'm assuming it's a kid, I can't confirm, but this kid has no clue. Let's follow this moronic thinking out for just a second. I guess you also feel there, fight the power, I guess you probably feel that the players should pretty much wear whatever they want, right? You know, you wear blue, Adam wears red, and you know, that girl's going to wear green, but hey, we're all on the same team, right? We're just expressing our individuality. Team sports is not about expressing yourself or your individuality. Team sports, it's about being part of a team and working together for a common goal. It's about the individual parts coming together to outweigh the sum of the parts. That's the really cool part, and I think that's the message that these coaches are trying to deliver. And again, like I said, in a similar case back in 2003, it was in Missouri. A federal judge decided that hair policies do not violate the rights of student athletes because, and this is according to the judge, because playing sports is a privilege and not a right. Well, we got another one in from Coach Tom, and Coach Tom writes and says, "Hey, Coach Tony, if I were judge in this case," see, this guy's like more along the lines of my thinking. "If I were the judge in this case, this could very well be the quickest trial in history." First question to the coach: do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth? I do. Okay. Is this policy in writing and available to everyone before tryouts take place? Coach says yes. Case dismissed. And by the way, parents of the kid, please pay all fees that the school was responsible for in having to come to the courtroom to defend this. And also, here's a charge of $100,000 in hopes that the next time you actually think before you open your mouth. Hey, Coach Tom, awesome. Awesome. I love that idea because, again, this comes down to another situation where people know the rules ahead of time. Right? I mean, if you know the rules and you agree to them, you abide by them, and that's it. That's it. And again, there are some detractors, and not everybody sees this case as clearly as I do. In fact, we got a note here from someone calls himself 59 Blues Man, which I just don't get, but that doesn't matter. Hey, Coach Tony, these are typical knee-jerk, stuck in the 1950s responses. His hair length is his choice. If it doesn't affect his game, he and his parents should decide how long his hair can be, period. Well, you know what? Guess what? First of all, it's my show. I'm the only guy who gets to say period at the end of a sentence and just declare arguments over. So take your period right back, 59 Blues Man. But let me start by agreeing with you. I think you are absolutely right. He and his parents absolutely should be the ones who decide on his hair length. Let me be really clear, right? That kid and his parents should decide how long his hair should be. That is a kid's constitutional right. We got that agreed to? Great. However, the kid and his parents also need to be held accountable for the consequences associated with that choice. That's really the only issue here. The school did not say at all that the kid could not wear his hair long. They said if he wants to be on the basketball team, he cannot wear his hair long. No one is forcing this kid to do anything. Welcome to life, kid. Your mommy and daddy are doing you a terrible disservice, and they're really hindering your development as a person and failing to prepare you for your adult life. That's the fact of the matter. I mean, all too many of us as mommy and daddies, we're getting all bent out of shape when our kids face some adversity and we're trying to shield them from it, and I think it's a really horrible disservice. I think we got time for one more before we go to another break, because I got a note here from Pete, who wrote to me from Yorktown, and he said, "Hey, Coach Tony, this school is so wrong." Now, this is a good one. This school is so wrong. I was just about to sit there and say another idiot, but hear this one out. This school is so wrong. Not only are they forcing a hairstyle on this kid, they're forcing discipline, health, stress relief, potential athletic scholarships, and lifelong friendships upon him. How dare they suppress his individuality? Would LeBron have gotten anywhere without his tattoos? I don't think so. Pete, that's just a great way to look at this. And I think, most kids who take this tact, guys like Steve from Dobbs who don't necessarily ever really grow up on topics like this, we'll cut Steve a break. But kids like this, just like the idiots who were talking about the alcohol abuse last week from Syracuse, and by the way, Adam decides to wear a Syracuse T-shirt to the studio today. Thanks, buddy. Good support. These kids all eventually grow up and realize how stupid they sound. Because guess what? Guys like me and Steve and any other adult that's called in with a decent argument on this, we were all the stupid kids that you are now. And we all believe that anybody with some authority over the age of 25 was an idiot. And again, I think Pete nails it. The coach is really trying to make sure that he teaches the real life lessons to these kids, to be a good representative of your school and your community. And the rewards that you will reap from that are immeasurable. And, Pete outlined a couple of them. Forget about the athletic scholarship because the odds are against that, but it's an opportunity that's out there. But they are they're giving this kid an opportunity for discipline, for a healthy lifestyle, for stress relief. And again, ask someone who's played sports their whole life. You really are going to develop lifelong friendships. The people that you are going to be closest to, if you were a long-time athlete, are the guys that you played in high school and college with, and the girls. I don't want to just sum it up that way. But you know what, guys? We're going to have to take a quick break here. Before we do, I want to make sure that I remind everybody that it is not too late for your young baseball player to join one of the top amateur baseball organizations in the entire country. And it's right here in New York. Right after the show, in fact, I'm heading down to Queens College for the winter workouts and tryouts for Team New York Baseball. If you remember, just last year, the Bayside Yankees and the New York Nine merged. These were both very strong organizations. We merged and we created what is now a national powerhouse in Team New York Baseball. Our teams start at 14U and go up to 18U, and the winter workouts and tryouts begin today. Now, if you want more information about this amazing program and the opportunity that it can create for your child, go to teamnybaseball.org. Again, that's www.teamnybaseball.org. And you know what? If you have questions about it, the winter workouts or what have you, email me directly at heycoachtony@gmail.com. Stick around, folks. We'll be right back.